If you've been following the NFT market, you'll know that it is always changing. Just about every day, it looks like there's a new project on the horizon and an existing project on the decline. In today's video, folks, I'm going to explain everything that's been going on with Solana and talk about some changes I see here in the near future. So if you guys have been lost here for the past couple of weeks, Solana basically came out from nowhere and has conquered the top 10 on CoinMarketCap.com. And if you guys don't know what that is, it basically tracks which tokens have the most market cap or total amount invested in it. And Solana has managed to crack the top 10, being a very viable competitor to Cardano, Ethereum, and tons of other cryptos out there. So my question to you is, where do you think Solana is headed here in the near future? Let me know down below in the comments. But in general, folks, what we've been witnessing here is the very rapid evolution of a brand new blockchain, which really is huge because it is extremely fast in its transaction times. It has basically little to zero fees, and it does a lot of things better, including, based on what developers have said, being much easier to actually release a mint on than Ethereum. So Solana has a lot going for it, but the question is, what exactly has changed in the past couple of weeks since its arrival? Alright, so the first major change to keep in mind is that roadmaps have become more important than ever. When a roadmap is released for any NFT project, it's essentially the goal for the near future. In Q1 of 2022, we'll be doing this. In Q2, we'll be doing that. Ideally, this relates to the fundamentals of the project, whether or not it's a video game they're building, or some type of charity work, or a social media outreach campaign, whatever it is. Now, I think roadmaps are becoming a lot more important for Solana because there are so many projects which have had very poor roadmaps. An example of this was Solana Snakes, which were, sort of a parody of snakes, and they were supposed to launch at around 3-ish Solana. I believe it was 3 or 2 at the time, and they actually decided to change that into being a free mint because they realized that after issues with their dev team that the Solana Snakes video game sort of thing they were trying to do wasn't going to be as easy or practical or even going to happen. So a lot of this will occur with projects that have an either unstable roadmap, unreliable roadmap, or simply a roadmap they just don't follow. And this isn't anything against Solana Snakes, and hats off to them for making their project free. But there are a lot of other roadmaps, including the Soul Bear roadmap, and tons of other ones, which I'm sure you guys could realize aren't doing all that well. Looking at a very long, 12-month expectation that is not being followed by the dev team is going to be a problem and inevitably lead to the price floor dropping. Another change I see coming is a rejection of typical 10K mints, because what's been going on recently is that with just about every NFT out there, it'll say 10,000 uniquely, generated figures or whatever it is, if it's a, art, drawing or whatnot. And I think we're going to see a rejection of that just because that requires so many buyers. So you'll have a project like Soul Lions, which had 8,888 lions that didn't sell out for a half an hour because of how many there were. And this happens for a lot of projects out there, including Soul Bulls, which minted at a price of 5 and is now going for a price of 0.25 over on digitalized.market, which is extremely sad. So what I think is happening is there's such an oversaturation of projects. People are trying to buy more projects that it's not just the Bold Badgers and the Degen Apes and the Soul Punks anymore. There's a lot more going on here. So I think people are sort of delving into more projects and liquidating a lot of existing holdings they had where they were holding, 10 of the same NFT. I think a lot of whales are moving towards diversity in their profile, or in their portfolio. So that's definitely important because I think projects that now have 10,000 things that they're trying to sell out are going to have a little bit more of a tough time doing that. So if I were you, I would ideally be looking for projects that have a lower supply. Again, this isn't always true. There are some projects, that have 10,000 that are still doing fine. But in general, I would try to find something which is on the side of a lower supply because I generally think that will be better for the long run, considering there is less amount of, buyers that are needed, to sell out and to keep up that demand and to keep that price floor. The final thing that comes to mind for me is that there are going to be, in general, higher standards now for any NFT project on Solana, because what I'm finding right now is that there is such an oversaturation of projects that as the price of Sol increases, people are less likely to purchase, because obviously 5 Sol is no longer 400, 500 bucks. It's more like $1,000, and that's an awful lot of money to people who are trying to divide their Sol into different projects. So ideally, I would say that try to find projects, of course, that you think, again, have a good roadmap, have a lower supply, but in general are just good. Finding garbage artwork that, you just hope and pray is going to go up, I don't personally think is overly a good strategy, because I think down the line, those are going to be sort of faded out, because it is appearing easier and easier to actually mint NFTs on Solana, to create them, to get them in your Phantom wallet or whatever you're using. So I think that over time, as these projects just kind of spring up from nowhere, and you could go on Twitter, there's 100 new projects a day that all have hopes of getting on Solanart or Digitalize. And as these websites continue to get more saturated, what I think you'll end up seeing is a general sort of devolution to more projects that are more expensive, for one, have better communities, more stable communities, like Thugbirds or DJ Apes, which are legitimately, in my view, good projects. I think you're going to see more of a devolution to those projects than just random garbage artwork that people buy in hopes of watching it go nuclear. I think those days are pretty much over, and that is to be expected with any market like this. But I do think it is worth being aware of, considering the fact that there are so many of these Solana projects which are just sprouting out of the ground on Twitter. And as much as I would love to go look and buy all of them, of course I can't, and I know most people watching this video can't. So unless you're a millionaire Solana whale, this probably doesn't apply to you. But for everybody else, I would say be careful, man, because there are a lot of these projects which, again, are launching for 3 Sol, 2 Sol, being, a little pricey these days, shilling out, 600, 800 bucks for some of these projects that, will half, 4x downward their value in a few days. So definitely to be careful about that. Again, this gets more difficult. The same thing kind of happened to Ethereum. You go on OpenSea, there's so much garbage on there that it makes it very hard to find what is legitimately good. And I think that's going to get more difficult as time goes on. So be careful. Talk to your friends. Talk to people who you think have a good gauge of what is a quality project. Of course, I'm always here in the comments. And by the way, leave a comment, guys. Let me know you guys are here. You guys are watching. I appreciate that. I'm always here in the comments to answer questions and give you guys my thoughts on things. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, just my personal opinion. So thank you guys so much for watching. Use our Webull link down below in the description if you guys want to get started on Webull. It's like the easiest 20 bucks you'll make. It's just an affiliate link down below in the description. Always appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Matt. I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.